Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pointing on Sharp. Today we're taking a look at a World War One German Ersatz bayonet. Now I have done a previous video on Ersatz bayonets, and it should be noted that it's like 300 or 400 different variations. So my last video kind of covers the history of the bunch of them. But I thought I'd make this video to cover another one of the pretty common variations which we have here, which is referred to as the EB47 and EB48, and that's the composition of the handle here. So if you want to know the history, check out my other video. I'll give you a brief rundown. Essentially, like 1915, the Germans are running out of equipment, so they needed to make replacement gear. That's what Ersatz means in German, essentially replacement. It didn't replace the existing bayonets as much as it was a stand-in until they could ramp up production and start producing enough of the good stuff like the Seitengewehr 9805s, the 8498s, and the 98s. Now, these bayonets are made to be compatible with pretty much all of the German rifles they had in service, and including like the Gewehr 71, 7184, the Gewehr 88, and of course the Gewehr 98. Now, these bayonets were generally issued to rear echelon troops, so they didn't see a lot of combat on the front, but they did see a little bit now and then. So I thought I'd go through the construction of this one here. This one has been modified for Turkish use. So initially they would be possibly another inch or two longer. The scabbard has been replaced with a Turkish scabbard, and the crossguard has been replaced, as well as a rivet placed into the mortise. But the basic construction, how it would have been in its original configuration, is the crossguard would have terminated about here with either a half muzzle ring on the 47, I think it was, and the 48 has no muzzle ring, it's just flash, and then both models have a rearwards facing quillon, which has been removed. Well, the entire crossguard has been replaced here. Then moving down to the handle, we have two stamped pieces of metal that has been riveted together. As you can see, we have a number of rivets around the place. And then in the middle, they're stamped in together so that they can be riveted through the blade for extra strength, as you can see here. And that's the same on both sides. And just above that, we have a hole, and that's our clearance hole for pushing a brush through to remove any gunk that's been pushed in by the cleaning rod when mounting this to the rifle. So it looks like there's a lot going on, but it's actually pretty simple. Then we've just got a very simple press button, ramped of course, so there's nothing too special about this. These weren't made by the main arms manufacturers during the war. Pretty much they requisitioned anyone who could make knives, bicycle shops, anyone who had experience with metalwork to start making bayonets, and at the time they were not named at all. So my understanding is after the war or years later, the naming convention sort of came out by collectors, and the naming convention I use is the one put in place by Anthony Carter in his book, and that's generally the one used the most often. I believe there's another one out there as well. Otto from ebayonets.com has released a CD with fantastic information on these. It's supposed to be the definitive work on Ersatz bayonets. I actually bought a copy recently, and it came with a bayonet, and I opened the box, and I got so excited about the bayonet that I threw the box in the bin and forgot to check it for the CD, and I don't want to fork out for postage to America again, so my loss until I eventually order another copy anyway. So I've explained the basics of the bayonet here and the composition of the handle. What I should probably point out is what's actually been done to this one since the war. So after the war, Germany obviously had the Treaty of Versailles implemented upon them, and they could only possess 100,000 arms. So pretty much all of their stuff got taken, sold, gifted. And most of these wound up in Turkey. And in the 1930s, they sort of butchered everything, cut them all down, and standardized everything to like the model 1935 standard of pattern. And that's what we have here, although it's a little bit different from all the other ones that I've seen. So this one is also a little bit of a mystery. So I know it's Turkish because I've got my little serial number stamped on the crossguard. That's extremely Turkish, and the blade's been taken down a bit, and we have a Turkish scabbard. What interests me a little bit is the Turkish ones generally don't have a muzzle ring this high. So initially I thought, okay, maybe this is consistent with like the Turkish model 1890 bayonet and rifle. And I checked the muzzle ring diameter, and 15.7 millimeters, that's definitely consistent. However, the height of the muzzle ring above the spine of the blade, or the handle, is inconsistent with that rifle. This sits a little bit high. So then I thought, well, they also adapted a number of bayonets for the M1 Garand and the FN-FAL and things like that. So I thought that must be the case with this. Well, no, not the FN-FAL. And the muzzle ring sits way too high. So I thought, okay, M1 Garand, I got out a model 1905 bayonet, compared them side by side, and again, it's sat too high. So I'm not 100% certain what rifle this is made to fit. On top of that, we also have, you'll see this little pin here above my finger. If we look down the mortise, you'll see that pin goes straight through. So I believe when the bayonet is put onto the bayonet lug of a rifle, that's a stopper, put in place to stop it from travelling too far, to stop it from being loose. So I have no idea what rifle this is made to fit, but the Turks weren't known for being particularly, what's the best word, regular maybe with all of their equipment. They had a bit of a hodgepodge of gear, a bit of everything, and it wasn't terribly consistent. Now, looking at the construction a little bit closer, I'm pretty certain that this is the original crossguard. It hasn't all been replaced, and what they've done is they've welded this on. So when I look really close, and I don't know if I can get that on camera due to the angles, a little bit, it's been welded across there and ground down flush. So it's quite crudely done, which again is very consistent with how the Turks modified all of their bayonets. And as is consistent with Turkish use, the only marking we have is the number on the crossguard. Quite a few of these initially would have had German proof marks on the top of the spine. I say proof marks, they're inspection marks. And that is the only German marking you'll find on these. You will not find property marks, and you will not find regiment marks or anything else. So it looks like the inspection mark here has actually been ground off and removed. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this one here. I got it pretty cheap. I'm going to move it on because the Ersatz bayonets don't particularly interest me too much. And again, if you want to know more about the history of this bayonet, check out my other video I did about a year ago. That one is a bit more comprehensive than this one in terms of history. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you today, and thanks for watching.